G'day everybody, Matt Ellis with you for another edition of the Cricket Library podcast, and a very special treat for all of us today. We'll hear from a man who had a Big Bash campaign to remember, the BKT Golden Arm.
Well, he does it again, Daniel Sams. That's why he's the man with the golden arm. It's a slow ball and it's wide outside off stump. Wade has a huge swing at it. Thick edge comfortably taken by Lenton, so another big breakthrough for Sams.
Daniel Sams, not just a short format specialist, he's also Baggy Blue 747. And today we hear his story on the Cricket Library podcast. And it's a very warm welcome to the Cricket Library podcast. Daniel Sams, thanks so much for joining us.
No worries, thanks for having me.
Well, Dan, we all got to see your talents in the Big Bash last year, earning that BKT Golden Cap for 30 wickets in the season with the Thunder. But to get to that point, there's a fair bit of a journey that happens. Can you give us a bit of a background as to where your passion for cricket started?
Yeah, well, I still am. I'm the youngest of four boys. So I grew up basically in the backyard playing, not just cricket, but basically anything and everything with my brothers. And that's kind of where it all started for me. Basically bowling all hours to my bigger brothers who wouldn't let me have a bat.
As a little brother myself, I certainly know the feeling of bowling lots of overs. When did you get a chance to sort of play cricket with a team? Did you move into playing club cricket pretty young?
Yeah, I was playing. Not sure how it's formatted now, but it was called mini back when I was a little kid. I was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
Playing in basically just team cricket, an actual proper match. But obviously at that age, it's just about having fun and everyone getting a bit of a go and that kind of thing. But yeah, that was really fun. Interestingly, back then though, I'd wear shorts. But now we have to wear pants, but I don't know what's up from there.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of a carryover from the Victorians in the 1994-95 Mercantile Mutual Cup season. Maybe you were trying to emulate some of their fashion sense back then, playing in shorts. Yeah,
well, I would have been a couple of years old then, so maybe I should have that in the back of my mind.
Maybe your older brothers subliminally might have passed that on. But the transition into grade cricket, did you kind of do the traditional Green Shield entry into a grade club, or what was your entry like into Sydney grade cricket?
So my club was Bankstown as a junior, and I played reps all the way through, and then got into Green Shield when I was 14. So I played a few years of Greenie, and yeah, basically the last year of Green Shield, I was kind of playing Green Shield, but kind of in and out of fifth grade a little bit, depending what was happening with Green Shield, and through there I just kind of got into grade cricket.
Yeah, and your exposure to rep teams, did you ever have any exposure to some of the pathway cricket with Cricket New South Wales, or were you kind of on the fringes of that?
Yeah, so I was I was a late bloomer, so I was actually quite short. I played in the under-19 series in Adelaide for New South Wales, but before then I didn't really get much of a look in. I do remember, I'm not going to name names who the coach was, but being told that I was too short to get picked. But what can you do? I can't really control that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was able to play 19s. I remember actually quite vividly playing. This is back a fair bit. In year 6, I played in the schoolboys cricket for New South Wales PWSA. Which was pretty cool. We went up to Bundaberg and played against the other states there, which was good fun. But yeah, that's kind of like the extras of cricket that I did in the kind of underage stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and so not your traditional entry in. You get a crack of playing first-class cricket in New Zealand for Canterbury. Can you tell us how that unfolded?
Yeah, it came out of absolutely nowhere. So I was playing a second 11 game for New South Wales in, I can't remember if it was Wollongong or Canberra. I think it was Canberra at Manuka Oval, and David Freeman came up to me and he just said to me, someone from Gary Stead has given us a call from Canterbury in New Zealand, and they're looking for one of our guys to go over and bowl, because they had a big excess of injuries to their fast bowlers. And Freddie just said, look, we're not willing to kind of give one of our contracted players, just because obviously logistically it'd be quite hard to manage and that kind of thing. And he basically said that I was next in the line, and I wanted to go. Obviously, I was like, well, yeah, it's a really cool opportunity. Unfortunately, I didn't have a passport, so I actually wasn't able to get there for the first game that they needed me. But luckily, the opportunity didn't disappear. I was able to get fast track for a passport and get over there for the next game. I ended up playing 2 games over there. I was pretty happy with how I went. My first game was against ND, and it was against Anton Dempsey. I actually played with the Thunder the last season, the season before.
Yeah.
And that was a good fun contest. He got into me a little bit. Good fun. He's a very competitive guy, and at the time in New Zealand, I didn't know how I felt about him, but after playing with him, he's great. He's an absolutely cracking guy. But I was able to get the last one on him. I did enjoy it.
Yeah,
probably one of the biggest sixes I've ever did.
Oh, I love it. One of the things I've noticed, just looking over your career as it stands at the moment, you tend to make a pretty good first impression wherever you go. That game you mentioned against Northern Districts, 49 off 51, 88 off 74 in the second innings, and then 3 wickets with the ball, an 8-run win. Welcome to first-class cricket, Daniel Sams. Where had you been?
Yeah, it was. I was really happy. I finished that game thinking, okay, this is first-class cricket. What I do actually works. So it was actually the start of everything for me, and it gave me a lot of confidence in what I do, and that what I do actually works, and I don't need to change anything.
Yeah.
I just need to learn to apply it better. So yeah, that was really good start to my first-class career. Yeah.
And did you take some? You mentioned that it was a good realisation moment that what you were doing could work. Did you take that confidence into your Big Bash debut? You actually debuted on Ricky Ponting's birthday and probably overshadowed it in the end. Thunder v Sixers, Sydney Showground Stadium, back when you're playing with the Sixers. Within 6 balls, you've sent Jos Buttler back to the pavilion. How was the feeling coming into that environment?
Just a quick side note, I love that you knew Ricky Ponting's birthday on that day, so that's just no clue. But can definitely rely on you knowing those facts. That's fantastic. That was, to answer your question about taking the confidence, I think subconsciously, definitely, I think it kind of carried with me. It wasn't necessarily something that I thought in the moment playing for the Sixers, I've got this confidence from New Zealand, but definitely when you got the performances and you know what you do work, things like that, subconsciously you carry over that confidence and you use that as much as you can in the game. So yeah, I still need to really think hard to remember that game. Like, it happened really, really fast. And it's a really interesting one. I've been doing a little bit of research and a little bit of watching some stuff just in regards to the mental side of cricket and people talking about when or like we've all heard it when someone gets 100 and they're batting really well and they get asked by the media, oh, what were you thinking? And they say, oh, I wasn't really thinking. Like I was batting. I was just in the moment.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting thing of being like just in the moment, present, and just flowing, and you're not thinking. You're in your subconscious mind and not your conscious mind.
Yeah.
And I think that night I was able to do that. So it's really hard for me to actually recount how I was feeling and what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting thing. But of course, getting Josh in my first over, my first big bash T20 wicket, is something that's quite an achievement for me that I'm quite proud of.
Yeah, and you're on a hat trick in that game as well. Shane Watson caught it cover after I think must have been Big Gib you got out the ball before. I know you say you're not clear on your memory of the game, but was Aidan Blizzard LBW on the third one, or is that possibly ducking down leg for the hat trick ball?
I reckon if we had DRS and we reviewed it, I think it still would have been given not out.
Yeah, okay.
I think it may have been missing another set down leg stuff, but I tried to just burgle it, but the umpire didn't want to have fun with it, which is fair enough.
Very smart umpiring. Umpires are a very smart group of people, that's for sure. And white ball cricket is where we get to see, like in Australia, with the coverage of the Big Bash, we get to see you make your debut there, 4 for 14, a remarkable achievement. And then you break into the New South Wales domestic one-day side, and your debut there again is another really solid one, 62 off 60 and then 3 wickets with the ball. New South Wales lose the game. But can you talk about what it meant to you to play for New South Wales in 50 over cricket?
Yeah, so the T20 stuff was awesome. It's been something that I tried to achieve, but it wasn't as long term as me trying to get into a New South Wales team. That's been something that I've been basically working to do that as a stepping stone to get to the Australian team for my whole career. So being able to actually crack into that team, obviously not being contracted, but still getting picked in the one-day team I was really happy with that, and it was kind of not an ideal position, I think I was batting at 7, maybe even 8. And we were 5 or 6 for nothing, basically. But I held the thoughts that I had in New Zealand in that innings. And it really worked for me. It helped me to trust what I do with the bat, because obviously a lot of batters will go in and will be 5 and 6 for nothing, and they'll be quite defensive and things, and kind of push and nudge, and it's hard to get any momentum back. And I just thought, well, I'm just going to go out here and I'm not going to be overly attacking, but I'm just going to bat. Like, if there's a ball to hit, I'm going to hit it. I'm not going to be tentative. Because in the end, what's the worst that happens?
Yeah.
I get out, well, everyone else has gotten out. Like, not so much comparing, but it's like, well, I've got nothing to lose here. So I can either counter attack and try and get some momentum back. Luckily I was able to get a little bit of momentum back. But yeah, obviously we weren't able to get the win for that game, but I was really happy with that inning. And
that series in general, do you feel that helped propel you to make your first-class debut? Yourself, Jack Edwards and Jason Sanger, I think, all debuting in the same game. Baggy Blue, number 747. You mentioned the hard work. You mentioned you made that New South Wales under-19s team, and you spend your whole life working towards an outcome to have that realisation of the Baggy Blue cap in Adelaide there. Can you reflect on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, it's probably the most special achievement that I've had so far, because it's always been, like, I get pinched at time a little bit as a white ball cricketer, right? So,
yeah.
And if you look at my performances and things like that, yeah, there is a case for that. but I've always been working hard to try and get into that regular team, and I still have that desire to get back to the Shield team and hopefully one day try and force my way into the Test team.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've always been working for. But so getting Coach said some really nice things. He presented my cap, which is also one of the greats of New South Wales cricket. Unbelievable with what he can do with ball, particularly not the fastest bowler in the world. It was a very special moment getting that baggy blue and knowing that no one can take this from me now. This is my baggy blue, and I've earned this. So that was a really special moment for me.
And knocking over another Thunder friend of yours, Mr. Ferguson. Yeah, first class wicket. Do you sit down after a game and run him through that from time to time?
Well, lucky enough for me, I actually have the pleasure of sitting next to Fergie at Spotless in the change room. So there is the odd time that I'll just get a cricket ball and I just remember when I held the ball like this, Fergie, and it just nipped away from you and it just got the outside to your bat. Yeah. So I do remind him of that sometimes, but obviously he's got a bit more over me with his career. He's a very, very good bloke, and he's actually just had a child with Ree, his missus, cute little baby. They're going awesome. So
yeah.
Legend of a guy, Fergie.
Yeah, and his leadership, you play under him at the Thunder there. A pretty good year for you guys in the BBL 09. You enjoyed your time at the Thunder?
Been some of my favourite times in cricket. The culture with the Thunder is second to none, in my opinion, with what I've experienced. They aren't a franchise; it's a club.
Yeah.
And when you talk about clubs, it's not just about the players; it's about the administrators, the managers, the back of office people, front of office, the community, the fans, all of that. They're all included, which is really, really awesome. And the fan days and the community days that we have, there's such a good engagement and participation in everyone. So the whole vibe throughout the Thunder Nation, not just the players, is amazing. But then narrowing that down to the players and the coaching staff, there's so much support. Going from when Watto was captain to Fergie captain, they're both high-profile people when you're talking about cricket.
Yeah.
But when you have a conversation with them, you never feel that they are who they are. Not that they're above you, but they bring themselves to you in that if you have something that you need to talk to them about, or you've got a problem with something, or you need help with something, they make you feel like everything around isn't important. What you're saying right now is really important. And a lot of people are like that in the Thunder, which I think is why the Thunder is going to have some really good success long term. Obviously, the club hasn't had the success that they really want, but I think they're playing the long game, and over a long-term period, I think it's going to be a really, really successful franchise, or club, I should say.
Yeah, and we certainly got that feel with the bit of a run that the Thunder got on at the back end of BBL 09 there. There was a real momentum. Unfortunately, didn't get all the way through, but there's certainly signs there that what you're describing that's happening off the field is certainly having an impact on the field. And for you personally, 30 wickets in a season, can you tell us what went right for you? Did you notice anything different this year that you were doing that you hadn't done before, or is there any change that you can recognise to say this is why it flowed so well in BBL 09?
So a lot of people have asked me this question, and they've kind of nudged at the thing of like, oh, what did you change, like technique-wise, or what's with your slower ball, or all those kind of questions. And physically, I haven't changed a thing, what I've been doing for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But mentally, I was in BBL this year. Mentally with the ball, I was a lot more present in what I was doing. And I set that up really well in the first game against Brisbane Heat because obviously I got out for a gold sub. And my first couple overs, I got hit a bit.
Yeah.
But when the game was kind of on the line, Ben Cutting was kind of their last over and he was smacking them a bit. I was able to take a breath, think about, okay, what do I need to do now and not worry about what has happened. And I was able to focus on the ball that I knew I needed to bowl, confirmed it with Fergie, and then as soon as we made that decision, that's it, I'm totally committed on this ball. Whatever happens, happens. Let's try and execute it. Lucky enough, I bowled perfect leg stump Yorker and I bowled him. We were able to win the game.
Yeah.
But they're the things in cricket that the people that watch cricket and love cricket that don't necessarily understand every little intricate part of cricket, they'll see, Dan got 1 for 38 or 4 overs. It was a bit expensive. But when you break it down to all those individual moments that each player does, it has a massive, massive effect. And that's what Bondi, our coach, talks about. You can go for 20 off your first over and then the next 3 overs can go for 10.
Yeah.
And you've gone none for 30 or 4 overs and we'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
So it's all about being present in what's about to happen in the present moment. So there was another thing I was watching with cricket in regards to, so in T20 cricket, it's 5-second moments, 5-second games. Each ball is a game. If you approach it like that, then that actually helps you to be present instead of thinking, we need to get 40 off 20 balls. I need to go big. No, actually, well, how many should I try and get off this ball? What do I need to do this ball? And then it narrows your focus. You can just think about that ball then. And I was able to do that with the ball last year. I actually struggled with it with the bat last year, which was a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
That's something I've been working on. But yeah, and you can probably hear the tone of my voice. I'm quite passionate about it because I've seen it work.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's been the biggest change.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and those having the confidence, I guess, to try and execute the delivery, like you and Ferg have a chat and you say, we're going to try and nail this one. And it's that you say the last 5 years physically you've been doing the same kind of stuff, but that would have to be helping as well that you trust in your processes and your ability to execute when you need to execute, and the captain backing you to do that as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing that season come to fruition. And just on a slightly lighter note, how much credit are you giving to Arjun Nair? He took 4 catches off your bowling last season.
How good was it seeing him run around at short fine legs trying to catch that high ball? It was funny. I backed him every time, even though he was like running in circles at some stages. I'll back little Johnny. We spent a lot of time together over Big Bash. He's a legend.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with him playing FIFA. He's a bit of a fiend on FIFA, actually. He doesn't like losing, put it that way. He can get quite aggressive.
Yeah, okay.
But lucky enough for him, he's pretty good. I don't beat him very often, unfortunately.
Okay. And safe as houses under the high ball. We all saw that during the Big Bash. It was never in doubt from Arjun Nair.
Yeah.
Now, just prior to the Big Bash, I just want to touch on your little stint in Canada playing for the Vancouver Knights. Was that fun, playing cricket in Canada?
It was definitely interesting. Hey, it was good fun. The players that I was able to play with was, incredible. I was playing with Chris Howe, Andre Russell, Rafi van der Dusen from South Africa, Chadwick Walton from West Indies as well, Shoaib Malik, Pakistan. Some really big names, really, really good cricketers. And I was just trying to soak up as much as I could, basically. I didn't play all the games, which I wasn't expecting to, but when I got the opportunity, I didn't play too bad. Got a few wickets, but it was just a really cool experience to go overseas, play in a different tournament format, which I haven't done before.
Yep.
And just to get the exposure of playing against high class teams. Like I was up against Munro from New Zealand quite a lot, and he obviously smacked it.
Yep.
And playing with Andre Russell, he's an absolute animal. Like, the things that he can do is no one else in this world can do. I remember in the final, actually, we lost in a super over, but we were struggling. We needed, I can't remember what the actual scores were, but I knew when he went out there, we needed about somewhere between 40 and 50 runs off about 4 overs. And he faced every single ball.
Oh, wow.
And he got us to a super over.
Wow.
But he went out there, he blocked his first 4 balls. Didn't even look like trying to score it, he just blocked them. And just went bang, 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 block. And I was just sitting there thinking, what is going on here? And like our coaches, so the coaching staff were all West Indies, so they knew what was going on. They know Dre, they spent a lot of time with him. Gale wasn't with us, he was over in, I'm not sure where he was, but he was with the West Indies team.
Yeah, okay.
He wasn't able to play. But they were all like, yeah, just keep watching. He's going to do it. Just watch. And he got us to the super over with a 6 off the last ball. And he came off and I just asked him, just tell me about like what was going through your mind. Like, I just want to know what your mentality was, what were you thinking? And he said, well, I just calculated to see how many sixes I needed to hit, and that's what I was going to do.
Wow.
And he said, there was, say we needed 18 off 6 balls. He's like, that's 3 shots.
Yeah.
I'm backing that the bowler's going to bowl 3 balls that I can hit 6, so I'm going to wait for it.
That's
And
incredible.
Like, that's an unbelievable mentality. Like, people are going to be, oh, we need 18 off 6. I'm just going to swing at everything, even if I can't hit it 6.
Yeah.
And he's there thinking, no, I back my ability. I'm just gonna hit the 3 balls that I know I can hit 6. And it was just, yeah, like, and thinking about that, it's like, well, yeah, that does make sense. But also on the same card, he can hit a lot of balls to 6 that others can't.
Yeah.
Well. So that's where that kind of, I took that and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to use that mentality, but not to the same extent.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's got a big reach. He can hit wide, real wide balls, 6 straight.
Yeah.
But it was just really interesting to see the mentality of those players and how they think, because usually it's a little bit different than what the mentality is of just Aussie cricketers, because there's an Aussie cricket culture, there's a West Indies cricket culture, there's a Indian cricket culture, and the way that they think and the way that they do things. So it was really interesting to be able to experience that.
You sound like a real student of the game, Dan. Is that something you enjoy about franchise cricket, is being able to pick the brain of, say, an Andre Russell or a Chris Gale or even a Callum Ferguson playing at the Thunder that you don't normally get to spend as much time with?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. Like, I wouldn't really say I'm a student of the game, but when there's like a key moment to learn something and pick up something, I'll try and jump on that straight away. Just because I've learned, to me, it's not about gaining too much information.
Yeah.
So that's when I get overloaded. I think about too much stuff, and I'm not thinking about what I can control. But it's when it's like I'm in the change room and Andre Russell has just done what he's done. But well, I'm going to jump on this opportunity and just see, even if I can get a sentence from what he said and hold that and use it.
Yeah.
It's just picking those moments. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I want to get some insights. Recently, your phone rang and it was Trevor Hohns. Part A of the question, is this the first time he'd ever called you? And what was your response?
Well, I actually didn't respond. He called me and I didn't pick up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we actually, for New South Wales, we actually had a week off. And lucky enough, the borders were open, and me and my wife, Danny, went up to Queensland to visit a couple of friends, and we stayed there for the week. Yeah. Which is really nice. So I was on holidays, and I got a call. I didn't see the call, and I looked at my phone, and I didn't have the number saved. They left a voice message, and I listened to the voice message, and it was really muffled. Yeah. I couldn't quite understand it, but I heard Trevor. Yeah. And it sounded like home. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Like, this can't be Trevor Holmes. Like, why would he be calling me? And I was really just kind of in my own bubble. I wasn't even aware of what was going on international cricket-wise. Yeah. If there was anything coming or anything like that. And I didn't want to call back not knowing who it was, because I was not sure if it was him or not. So I just sent him a message. So it was like, oh, hi, sorry, I'll call back in a second. I'm just busy right at the moment. So the message was just a little bit muffled. Who is this? And he just sent that Trevor Holmes number, and then he called me back a couple of minutes later.
Yeah, and great news. Was very unexpected by the sounds of it. Can you tell us what that actually means? Have you, with the COVID situation, being in a 26-player squad, what are the arrangements for getting yourself ready?
So basically, for this week and next week, the New South Wales players that are in the 26-man squad, we're in our own little group. So we're all in our own bubble. Yep. Basically doing isolating and stuff. We're still able to train as long as we're in our own bubble. And some of the New South Wales coaches have kind of entered our bubble. They're not doing work with the New South Wales guys, are doing work with us. Yeah, okay. Yep. So we've just been preparing as we usually would. If there's no like Aussie camp or anything like that, then we're just waiting to hear. And how many they're taking, and who's going.
And any input from Justin Langer?
Yeah, he sent me a message the day that Trevor called me, just saying congratulations, and whenever you get your opportunity, just make sure you're ready.
Yeah, very good. Very good. No, that's great to hear. And obviously very excited that you're in the conversation, and hopefully get that opportunity, be it this time or sometime soon.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, if I go, amazing. That'd be awesome. But if I don't go on the same thing, it's not really going to be a letdown, because I'm in the top 26 white ball cricketers for Australia. So the recognition that I've been able to get through from that, for the hard work that I've done, has been really awesome. Yep. And it's just another thing to say, keep doing what you're doing at work. Yeah. So whatever decision's made, it's a win-win for me. And I've just taken confidence from the whole situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we'll wrap things up shortly, but there's a couple of questions we need to ask. One of those is your 3 net session options, which we'll get to in a minute. But just before we do that, my research department here at the Cricket Library have extensively been trying to get some confirmation on your middle name. Now, there are some public websites out there that list you as Daniel Richard Sams, and my research team have got in touch with births, deaths and marriages, and we're led to believe that it might actually be something different, and it's not Richard. Can you shed any light on your middle name for the thousands of people that need to know?
Yeah, I will shed some light to the thousands of people that need to know. So I'll start from the beginning. So on my wedding day, so my best man, his name's Baden. He's actually my brother-in-law, so he's married my wife's sister.
Wow.
But so he was doing his best man speech, as best man does, and he kept calling me Richard, and I knew exactly what he was getting at. But everyone was just like, "What's going on? Like, who's Richard?" And for the sake of language on the podcast, I won't use his colourful language. But if you all know what's short for Richard, then you'll know what he's getting at. And at the end of his speech, he goes, "Oh, if you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm talking about Dan. The reason I'm calling him Richard is because sometimes he can be a real and the short version of Richard is So that's where that comes from. But my lovely wife decided to get onto my Facebook and change my middle name on Facebook to Richard.
Okay.
And just because it was funny, I just kind of left it for a little bit. And apparently now my middle name's Richard.
Yeah, okay.
So, but no, my middle name is Robert after my uncle, my mum's brother. So it's Robert. If anyone, just to clarify, it is Robert, not Richard. So if you could get onto any of the websites that have it as Richard, that'd be, and they can get it changed, that'd be fantastic. So Robert, Robert. Robert,
that's magnificent. I'm so glad we clarified that, because at the Cricket Library we like to get our facts straight, and that has cleared up a massive concern for so many people, Samsy. So thank you for that, and probably a pretty good lead into our marquee question. If Daniel Sams is having a net and he could have a net with anyone, who would you choose? And I mean, you net with some pretty cool cats. I mean, anyone who's having a net with Harry Conway is in an elite group in my mind, and you get to do that when you're playing with New South Wales. But over the years, you would have had some great nets. But are there any others, either people you've played with, or maybe someone you've never even met, you think, oh, gee, I wouldn't mind hitting the nets with them?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think because it's the net that will kind of determine who I choose. But probably if we're having a net, I'm probably going to choose more the cricket people answers.
Yep.
I think I'd definitely like to have a net with, to really, I'm gonna say some people here, and then we're gonna finish, and I'm gonna be like, why didn't I say them? But I would really. This is tough. This is really tough. But I think I'd love to have a net against. You got to use Bradman. I'd love to bowl to Bradman.
Yeah. And
just to kind of pick his brain, and I'm sure he gets a run in a lot of people.
Yep. He's a regular.
I think I would like to have a net with oh man, this is tough. I think we'd have to go with I'd love to have a net with Shoaib Akhtar just to purely see how quick he bowls.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd get in. I don't think I'd get in the net to face it, but I'd love to have a net with him at his peak when he was bowling absolute rapid. And if I was to choose the net, it would be at Perth.
Yeah, I like it. I do like that. It'd be interesting to see Bradman try and negotiate Akhtar as well.
Yeah, that would be interesting, actually. That would be very interesting. Would Bradman be allowed to wear a helmet and stuff, or would he have to go old school?
Oh yeah, we could allow the Cricket Australia helmet policy for Bradman if he wanted to wear. I think we'd actually enforce that policy if Bradman was in there, just for WH&S. Cricket Library doesn't want to be held responsible for any injuries.
And I think the last one would be I've actually, so with the stuff I've been doing on the mental side of cricket, I think I'd really like to have a net with Greg Chappell.
Oh, yes.
He's been talking a lot about the mental side of the game. And I don't even know if it's recent. He may have been doing it for a while and I may have just new to it. But he's talking a lot about the mind frame, getting in the right mindset, actually having training sessions where you're not doing anything physically, but you're using imagery and visionary. So sitting in a quiet room, closing your eyes and picturing, like say, for example, say I go to England and I'm going to bat. I'm going to use imagery in my head like I'm batting, like I would in the game, like the same, like through my eyes, through my lens, and face Stuart Broad and picture his timing, his action, and see the ball and actually play a shot in my mind.
Yeah.
Because your brain doesn't know the difference.
Yeah.
As long as you can get the same feelings, the same, all of that stuff. So I think that would be a really cool net with him.
Yeah, well, there's some good selections. I do rate that selection. Greg Chappell, an excellent cricket mind, and Bradman v. Akhtar v. Sams. I like it. Well, thanks so much, Dan, for joining us on the Cricket Library podcast. Very enjoyable to chat with you, and really appreciated the insights you were sharing, particularly around the mindset stuff and how you approached your cricket last summer, and wishing you all the best going forward, mate. Plenty of big things on the horizon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Matt. Really appreciate it. Awesome.
A massive thanks to Daniel Sams for joining us on the Cricket Library podcast, and some wonderful news since doing this recording with Dan. He has in fact been listed to head to the UK. So hopefully, unlike when he was first selected for first class cricket, he's got his passport ready and getting set to make his international touring debut for the Australians over there in the UK. Looking forward to tracking his progress over there and wishing him all the best for that. Some wonderful insights in the conversation. I love how much it meant to him to play for New South Wales, Baggy Blue 747. It's great to hear that the youngsters are still pursuing that first-class cricket dream and the test cricket dream, even though the shorter formats are having a fair bit of prominence these days as well. It's good to see that first-class cricket is still a top priority for a lot of young players like Daniel Sams. And some interesting net session selections. Really enjoyed those. Always good to see Don Bradman get a run. Shoaib Akhtar, that would be impressive to see as well. And the brains of Greg Chappell in there as well, touching on the mental side of the game, which Dan gave us some wonderful insights to as well on the program today. Make sure that if you did enjoy the program today, you do hit the subscribe button and you do keep up to date with all the latest. We've got some really exciting things happening in September, and I'm sure you won't want to miss out on those. Thanks so much for being with us, and I very much look forward to your company next time. This has been Matt Ellis for the Cricket Library podcast. Bye for now.